It's Monday. Rose. That's adorable. If you can tell, my beard has a bit of red. It's got a red hue, but my hair is not red. My hair is like a light brown, dark blondish color. Okay. If you can also see in my beard, there are a few grays that come in. I blame my son. I did for Halloween, Ben. But anyway, my wife likes to say instead of salt and pepper in my beard, that I've got salt and paprika. It drives me nuts. Of course, everybody that knows me personally thinks it's hilarious, and I don't know. I don't know about that wife of mine. I'm not so sure. All right, but there's our Pear Deck link. Right there. We're going to continue on. The Cold War. This is going to be a 2-day lesson. We're going to work on this today and tomorrow because we're going to be talking about JFK and his contributions to the Cold War. And JFK is an interesting figure because he's kind of like that friend that has a huge impact on your life. He comes into your life for just a little bit of time, and then he's gone. And we don't see him anymore, and we're going to find out why. Not today. Tomorrow we'll find out why. But we're going to call this JFK and the Cold War. It says 3.5 in here, but I want you to say this is 3.5.1. Tomorrow's 3.5.2. And then we're going to pause our Cold War discussion for a little bit after tomorrow. Okay. So that's going to bring us to the housekeeping. The reason we're going to hit pause on our discussions is because of testing, guys. Air testing starts Friday. I am not sure what your testing schedule looks like, what your testing logistics look like. If you make sure you guys are going to homeroom every day. Okay. If you're unsure of your testing logistics, please get in contact with your engagement coach. If you don't know who your engagement coach is, I can find that out for you. Message me on Canvas. Send me a private message. I can look up that information for you. I can get you their email, their contact information. They're going to have all of your testing logistics information. Okay? And like what days you're testing, where you're testing, and what tests you're taking that day. Okay, so we're going to hit pause on the Cold War probably Wednesday, or tomorrow will probably be the last day where we're learning new content, I should say, and then we're going to shift gears and we're going to start reviewing. Again, I'm not sure when you are taking your test. We're going to review Thursday, Friday, and all of next week. Okay, that whole first week of testing. So it's just going to be review stuff. None of it will be graded. Watch the videos for your attendance. Get caught up for your offline hours if you're behind, things like that. I will be out testing the 4th, 5th, and the 8th. Okay, at my testing site, there's no testing the 6th and the 7th. I'll be at the Warren site April 4th, April 5th, April 8th. Their classes will be recorded. So there will be classes. There will be things that you are responsible for. You are responsible for completing that stuff, even though you are testing. Okay, as we know, due dates are I give you guys a little bit of extra time on stuff. It's not gonna be difficult stuff. We're not gonna have. I pretty much came to the decision we're not gonna have a test on this unit because of the testing and the breakup and the monotony of it. There will be no unit. Whatever it was, unit 3. There will be no unit 3 test. Okay, we'll do a few little informal mini assessments, stuff like that through the unit, but there will be no unit 3 test. The other reason is I want to review and stuff, and I don't want to take away from the second half of this unit, which is the civil rights. I feel like this unit, when we compare it to today's climate and today's events, it's important, and I don't want to take anything away from it. So we'll pick back up after next week. Even though I'll be out testing, I'll record the lessons on it. It'll be full-fledged Pear Deck lessons and stuff, and everything will probably just be completion. Okay. Any questions on that? We'll have regular classes on April 6th and 7th. And testing, the last day of testing is April 14th. Spring break starts April 15th, and we'll be out until the 22nd. Okay. So during those times, guys, during the times like that we're out testing, that's a great time to get caught up if you're behind. Spring break, that's the last big opportunity. It's the last big break we have before the final push to the end of the year that we have. If you are behind, it's a great time to get caught up. Okay. If you are behind and you're not sure what you need, message me. I will make you an assignment list that's custom to you, what you're missing, what grades you have, and the stuff you have turned in. I've been reaching out to parents. Some of your parents I've talked to. I've sent them those lists. I've sent you those lists to those of you who have already asked and I've already talked to. But they do take me a little bit of time to do. Each one takes me about 15, 20 minutes to make up because it's totally custom to you and what your grades are. But reach out, let me know. Okay. So after all that, guys, where's your stress level? I think with the upcoming testing, I'm at about a 4. You know, I don't have to take these tests. You know, they don't have any implication on me in the sense of like, am I going to get the credit for it? But as the teacher of the tested subject, you know, it gets a little stressful because when kids do well, you know, I get a pat on the back. Hey, great job getting your kids ready. When they don't do bad, or when y'all don't do well on these things, they're like, well, it must be your fault. So, you know, give you guys real quick. Come on, guys. I only got 19 of you in this Pear Deck. Oh, that's great to hear, Amory. So let's log in. So you should also have a class for the testing. I'm not sure who's all at my testing site. I know Ben is. There's a couple of you. Which I'm excited to get to meet everybody in person of my students. I'm excited for that. Luckily, Ashley, we record these things. So you can always go back. All right. Let's move on. How was your weekend? Take a minute, because we only got 20 left. What'd you do this weekend? I went to Pittsburgh yesterday with my wife's family, with our family. And it was nice. We usually spend every Sunday with them because they work Monday through Saturday at the butcher shop. You know, they own it. It's a family business. Some of you guys work for family, and you know, like it's a lot of work. It's hard work when you own your own business. So we only get to really see them on Sundays. And it was nice because you know normally we just go over and hang out at their house. It was nice getting to spend time with them, but getting to go do something at the same time. We went to that Primani Brothers by the IKEA, and I gotta say, like for as much hype as that place gets, it was just kind of like okay, nothing really to write home about. But IKEA was cool. IKEA's neat. Got a few things there. No furniture. I mean, I guess we bought a step stool for the kiddo. You hate jeans, Marianne? Skylar got the Forge. Jerome played some video games. Rose made cookies and worked at the food truck. Oh, yeah, Kinsey. It's grilling season. I can't wait to get mine fired up. Larry saw his dad. Mia got her nose pierced. Nice. Ben moved. I think we had a great weekend. Great weekend. We're going to move on, though, okay? Because I don't want to run out of time. Oh, backwards. All right, quick recap from what we've been talking about. World War II ends. Russia and the U.S. are the lone superpower standing. This starts the Cold War. U.S., as we know, ends World War II with nuclear capabilities. Russia wants them and then quickly develops them. This Cold War is going to become communism versus democracy, and the first face-off is going to be in Korea. Both sides are going to gain a lot of territory and lose a lot of territory, and really it's going to end where it all started at the 38th parallel, and Korea will be split into North and South. And if you need that Pear Deck link, there it is. The Soviet Union is going to launch Sputnik 1 into space, the basketball-sized satellite that just bounces radio signals back to Earth. Sputnik 2, they're going to launch the dog into space. And then Russia is going to go and, lead the space race for a while with the first man in space, the first woman in space, the first 3 men in space, the first orbit of Earth, the first object on the moon, and the first object to basically hit Venus. And we'll talk more tomorrow about how the space race kind of evolves and a little bit more into that. But what's important to know is after the Soviet Union launches Sputnik, people in the United States go nuts. People go absolutely insane because Russia now has this rocket technology, and if they can send something to space, they could launch a nuke at the United States, right? That's the thought process. We looked at duck and cover, right? All of the what to do in case of a nuclear war, right? You put your hands over your head and you get under your desk, and that's going to keep you safe. And again, we talked, the space race began. So on the recap stuff, guys, how you feeling about all that stuff? Feel good? Makes sense? We still a little confused? We need to go back and review, or what are we talking about? Where are you? And if you're over here, please send me a message. Please message me. Let me know. I'll show you where to find the videos, to find the stuff to learn, to talk. Okay. All right, we're going to move on here, though, in 3, 2, 1. Our learning target. I can analyze how the rise of Fidel Castro threatened the U.S. by studying the causes and effects of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so we're going to really talk more about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and tomorrow we'll talk about Fidel Castro today and his relation to JFK. But this is the learning target for today and tomorrow. We're going to look at this scenario with the Cuban Missile Crisis and Castro, and with John F. Kennedy, and how this really is like what we call the height of the Cold War. Our vocab, Fidel Castro and the Bay of Pigs. All right, so let's talk a little bit about JFK. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He gets nominated by the Democrats for the 1960 presidential election, and this is seen as a very, very bold move. Kennedy's a senator from Massachusetts at this time, but he's super young for president. He's only like 43 years old. He's also Catholic, which is a big deal at the time because most Americans, I wouldn't say most, all presidents at that time had been Protestant or like Episcopalian. But the idea, the reason being that he is, it's a big deal that he's Catholic, is it kind of goes back to the Gilded Age and that age of prosperity of the 20s when all the European immigrants were coming in, the Italians, the Irish, who were Catholic, and that was one of the reasons they were kind of looked down upon. Even though Catholicism is Christianity, the idea was that Kennedy would, use his faith as a way to be loyal to the Pope in the Vatican, and that those doctrines the Pope would be running the country if we elect a Catholic. That was the idea. Okay, or that's what was used as a smear tactic against Kennedy. Okay? In order to gain support from Southern Democrats, Kennedy chose Texan Senate Majority Leader Lyndon Johnson as his running mate, and he's going to oversee this super tense period of the Cold War. Let's take a look at that election of 1960. Again, TV is going to play a huge role in this election. This is going to be some of the first time, or if not the first time, that they're going to televise presidential debates. Okay? So just like if you paid attention to the election of 2020 with Biden and Trump and the debates, or the 2016 election with Trump and Hillary and those debates, right? We watch them on TV. There's so many debates, right? This was the first time that they televised it, and they did this. And in these debates, they're gonna talk about the major issues that are facing the United States at the time, which is defense spending because of the Cold War, the encroachment of communism in Cuba, which is going to play a huge role in Kennedy's eventual presidency, and poverty in the United States is going to be a really big issue because this is going to be around the time that the civil rights movement starts. Well, shouldn't say it starts. This is when it culminates, and we're going to see figures like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and civil rights leaders like that are going to be prominent in the United States during the 1960s. Kennedy's going to only win 49.7% of the popular vote. He's going to be going up against Richard Nixon, who will eventually become president in the late 60s, early 70s. But Nixon's going to win 49.5% of the popular vote. It's a close election. But as far as the electoral votes go, because we do the electoral system, which is based on population, Kennedy will win 303 electoral votes to Nixon's 219. As we mentioned, Kennedy's become the youngest president elected to the United States presidency in history. And his big promise to the nation was a new frontier of prosperity and advancements. He would face hard choices over the construction. We're going to talk about things we're going to talk about today and tomorrow. The Berlin Wall, the Bay of Pigs, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. And we'll also talk about tomorrow. As we mentioned, we only get a short bit of Kennedy. He's like that friend that comes in your life, has a big impact, and then leaves. Because in 1963, 3 years after he gets elected president, in his first term, he'll be assassinated brutally. And it's going to be live on TV. We have the video of him being assassinated. It's called the Zapruder film. I don't really want to show it, but it's easily, you can Google it. It's one of the most heavily analyzed pieces of film in history, where you get to watch a U.S. president killed live. Brutal. All right, quick summary. What'd you learn? Just over the last 3 slides. Give me a quick summary of John F. Kennedy and the 1960 election. And it could also be something you already knew previously, right? If I missed something in my very quick rundown of Kennedy, just a quick summary. What did you learn about him? Give about another 10 seconds. I'm going to move on here in 3, 2, 1. Still working. You can always go back. All right, so let's talk about Kennedy and the Cold War. As we mentioned on one of the previous slides, Kennedy governs during one of the most tense moments of the Cold War for the United States. People were really afraid that the world was going to be on the brink of all-out nuclear war during what becomes known as the Cuban Missile Crisis. And we'll cover that in detail tomorrow. But Kennedy's leadership during this time helped defuse the standoff, but he could not prevent the most iconic symbol of the Cold War from being constructed in Europe, which is going to be the Berlin Wall, which, again, we'll talk more about tomorrow. But I want to kind of highlight this cartoon. This is Nikita Khrushchev. He takes over the Soviet Union after Stalin dies, and Kennedy. And what they're sitting on, you can see the H. It says USA, H. It says Russia. These are hydrogen bombs, which we talked about on Friday, and the destination, right? The Russian hydrogen bomb is destined for the United States. The United States hydrogen bomb destined for Russia. And they're arm wrestling with their fingers above the bucket, or the bucket. See Kennedy's fingers right above the button. Khrushchev's is above the button right here. You can see it between their arms, and they're wrestling for the fate of they're arm wrestling for the fate of the world. Kennedy's going to take this hard-line approach against the Soviet Union and communism. In his inaugural address, after he gets elected president, that speech they give during the inauguration, he says, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty." So he takes that Truman Doctrine, we're going to meet communism wherever it picks up its head, and he goes beyond it. And his first foreign policy test comes as a result of the revolution in Cuba. Now, keep in mind, the United States is going to be heavily involved in Cuban politics since Cuba gets its independence from Spain at the end of the Spanish-American War, right? Remember, we kind of take over and we let Cuba run things, but we're going to run all the businesses and people are going to invest money and we're going to run there. In 1952, a guy named Fidel Castro is going to lead the Cuban Revolution to overthrow the U.S.-backed Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista, and they're going to establish a communist government in Cuba. And this is going to make a lot of people angry, especially like the communists are going to not only make the U.S. government angry with this revolution, American businesses that are in Cuba, this is going to anger them because they're going to seize the land and make it public. They're going to take the land from these companies and make it public. It's also going to enrage the mafia. Anybody ever see The Godfather Part 2? Have you ever seen the Godfather movies? If you like gangster movies, mob movies? Nobody? Nobody's seen The Godfather? Literally rated like top 5 film of all time. No movie buffs in class today? The 60 of you here? That's just, if you haven't seen it, that's your spring break homework, guys. Watch The Godfather, Part 1 and 2. It'll take about 6.5 hours of your life. So Mia, you've seen it. Literally, some of the greatest movies of all time. But in The Godfather Part 2, there's a scene where the Cuban Revolution is going on and they have to get everybody out. And that happens. The mafia is going to invest a ton of money in resorts in Cuba because Cuba is absolutely beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful country. But the communists are going to make the mafia angry. And after fighting in this Cuban Revolution from 53 to 59, and by the way, if you're a conspiracy theorist, the mafia gets angry, and one of the conspiracy theories is the mafia is the ones who assassinate Kennedy, or set up the assassination of Kennedy. Mason, get out of here with your Family Guy quotes. But anyway, Castro's going to establish a communist government and welcome aid from Russia. And the U.S. is going to become very, very wary of Fidel Castro. Why? Because Cuba's only 90 miles from the coast of Florida. And this is basically going to put communism in our backyard, right? Just for, a bit of reference, I live in Canton, but let's use Cleveland, right? Cleveland to Columbus. What's the difference? The distance there. I'm gonna do a quick Google search. Okay, that's what that. It's Cuba. I got 141 miles from Cleveland to Columbus. Cuba is closer to Florida than Cleveland is to Columbus. The Florida Keys. Okay, that's what we're talking about, though. The Florida Keys. Cleveland is closer to the Florida Keys than Cleveland is closer to the Florida. Cuba is closer to the Florida Keys than Cleveland is to Columbus. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, all right, on the distance. And we are going to run out of time. And that's probably where we're going to stop. Is we'll watch this quick video, and then we'll talk about the Bay of Pigs tomorrow. We'll add that into tomorrow's stuff. But let me load this video up for you, and at 11 o'clock, you guys can just dip out. All right. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to play this video until its completion. But y'all have a great rest of your day. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Please reach out if you have questions. Okay? And make sure you're filling out the guided notes from the prayer deck. Have an awesome day, guys.